This is the Final Word Daily. West Indies, Australia Daily from Grenada, the national stadium to be precise. I know that for reasons I will tell you about in the Hall of Fame at the end of the day. Jeff Lemon and Bharat Sundaresan. The show brought to you by Maurice Blackburn, the #1 plaintiff law firm in the Commonwealth of Australia. I forgot what the formal name for a country was called. It's on the passport. You've got one. I've got one.
I do have one.
We'll
now.
figure it
that's
out.
True. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
I'll remind you and everybody else. Read it and weep. All right. Day of Test cricket today. It was long. It was eventful. Plenty happened. You have 30 seconds to sum it up.
Craig Brathwaite got out for a duck in his 100th test. And then there was resistance. John Campbell played a few shots. And then Pat Cummins proved that he's a freak by taking the greatest cotton ball ever by a fast bowler. And then there was another partnership between Shea Hope and Brandon King. And then Pat Cummins proved that he is an absolute genius by setting up Brandon King and Shea Hope and bowling out Shea Hope. And there was resistance from those West Indian tail. The two Josephs put on 51. And then the last pair dragged it out before West Indies finished their innings 33 runs behind. And then, well, what we've seen a few times already in the series, Sam Konstas playing on, getting out for 0, Usman Khawaja getting trapped in front, LBW, Australia in trouble, West Indies right there and thereabouts, test match on par.
Okay, was this like a setup for you to, did you have to like get in Pat Cummins' good books? Because I'm gonna be honest, it was good, but I mean, the way I heard it talked about by other people, it was fine. Like, the ball was in the air, you've got to run over there, you've got to do a bit of a slide. It wasn't like a crazy full-length Superman dive, you know? Yeah, you're sliding on your knees.
But come on. I mean, it
was
yes,
like 8 out of 10.
No, I would agree with you. It was an 8 out of 10 if a fielder had like run across from the... But I think it's just the mechanics of it. You have a fast bowler running in at full tilt. It was humid, it was mid-spell. And so his energy is taking him, his momentum is taking him off the pitch. Like, that's a right-arm fast bowler, so he's bowled the ball, he's going that way. So for him to stop and then go diagonally...
and listen.
go diagonally across and then put in the dive, grab onto that ball and then slide and keep it in control. All of that while... I think if it was a spinner... Or if it was, like I said, if it was just a fielder putting in the dive, you would have been like, wow, that's a great catch. But because he did all of that as a fast bowler, which is why I said greatest cotton ball by a fast bowler. I mean, we've seen some outrageous cotton balls by spinners as well. And we've seen Pat Cummins take some sensational cotton balls as well.
But when someone smokes it back past you and you have to take a crazy reflex grab, that's a better cotton ball than one where it's lobbed in the air and you've got time to run over.
But I think that was the uniqueness of this cotton ball, that he kind of... just the fact that a fast bowler took a catch at silly mid-on.
I reckon I've seen them before. I've seen ones like that before. It was okay. I'm not getting too pumped up about it today.
Like, name one. No, I'm not going to let you go scot-free.
I can't remember. There's one in like the early 2000s in an Australian Test match, but I can't. It might have been Brett Lee. Anyway, my memory's not quite that good, but I remember seeing best ever. We're not doing best evers today. You're not doing best evers if you're Sam Konstas at the moment. Let's start at the end. So the way the Test match is set up, 45-run difference at the moment with Australia in the lead, but 2 down already, and the night watch in with Nathan Lyon coming in towards the end of the day because Konstas and Khawaja got out. They had about 30 minutes, 33 minutes, something like that, to bat when they came in, and it's 4th ball of the innings. He's gone block, leave, 4th ball is so wide of off stump. And, you know, in a way it's fair enough. If you're an opening bat who's supposed to score some runs, you go, well, yeah, I'm going to smack the really wide ball. But the shot wasn't there, the shape wasn't there, the execution, as they like to say, didn't work. Bottom edge, dragged it on. And, of course, you can get that bottom edge and it can go away to the fine leg boundary for 4, and everyone goes, oh, got a bit lucky there. But you get out when you're already under pressure, you're already under scrutiny. I mean... Konstas is, I'm sure, going to play in Jamaica. I don't think it matters. 100%. He was always going to play all 6 innings, even if he'd made 4 ducks, even if he was on the Audi up until this point. He'd still be playing next week because they need to give him the opportunity to see what he can do. But he looked, can I say, disconstaslit. He was so unhappy when he came off.
He was, I almost thought from my binoculars, I don't know if I was imagining it or not, his eyes were red. And for the first time in his very short career, he looked like a 19-year-old. He looked like a 19-year-old who'd had the shittiest day in school. And
just pranked his car or something for the first time.
And he didn't want to face anyone at that point. But unfortunately, in cricket, when you get out, you have to go back into the dressing room and face your teammates. And
or do you? Well, you could just walk out. There's the tunnel over there at the PMOA. You could just walk out the front door of the stadium.
It's happened
just
before.
hail a cab.
It's happened in Ranji Trophy cricket. Sanju Samson a few years ago. Sanju Samson, who everybody knows, was playing a game for Kerala. He got out and then he went missing. He was sitting on Marine Drive. You know Marine Drive in Bombay. He was just sitting there. And it's Marine Drive, so there are hundreds and thousands of people just walking around. So he did that in a Ranji Trophy game. However, Sam Konstas couldn't do it here because it's Grenada and you can lose your way quite easily.
You just go to the beach.
Or he could have just gone and watched the Grenadian national team.
Look, you've just got out. It's the second innings. You're batting. You're not going to be needed for the rest of the day. It's only 20 minutes till stumps. He should have just gone to the beach. He would have felt better if he There are not many situations where you don't feel better if you put your head in salt water. There is something about it that is curative. It's restorative. So I hope he's at the beach now.
I really do hope so.
And then I don't know if the beach is going to fix Usman Khawaja's batting problems. We spoke about this last night. It keeps being an issue. Pace. The way that he kept edging the ball through the Australian summer and in the World Test Championship, and now he's shifted things up and moved across, and he keeps getting nailed on the pad and it's swinging in. And I remember discussing this a little bit during the Australian summer, and I thought that probably he should have wrapped it up in Sydney. I thought that's a good time to do it. You have your home test. You got to the end of the series. The series hasn't gone well. Read the writing on the wall and think that maybe I'm not the best option to try to do another 12, 13 months here and to try to get through to are you the answer for an Ashes series when it's going to be big and high profile, or do you try to get out the way, clear some space and let someone else have a slightly longer run up? And that's the thing, is that Konstas has had a shorter run up because he didn't get those other 3 tests that he might have been able to play had there not been Khawaja there. And sure, maybe he comes out in Jamaica and makes 200 and all is well, but it's the technical issues. It's consistently getting out the same way, and that he's going to need to have a hell of a good first few Shield rounds before the Ashes to feel confident, or for other people in the setup to feel confident that he is still the answer, given that he'll turn 39 before the series starts. He
will, and to your point about maybe it was time for him to hang up his boots after Border Gavaskar Trophy, where he did play a role in getting Australia over the line with 40-odd in a Bumrah-less attack. I interviewed him before the Barbados Test, and he was with Andrew McGlashan, the role model. And the one thing he said was, apart from getting out LBW around the wicket, which I mentioned yesterday, was he said, I'm no longer playing Test cricket for myself. It's all about the team. I could have retired 2 years ago, but I'm playing here because the team needs me and Sammy Konstas needs me, and I want to be there with him to guide him through this difficult period of anybody's Test career, to guide him through the journey. And I think that is the role that he's assigned for himself. And from what the other conversations he said he's been having with Andrew McDonald and George Bailey and the selectors, and Andrew McDonald was asked this same question after the Lord's Test, and he said, no, we see no problem with him. Usman is here to stay till the Ashes. And I think that is the question. We've spoken a lot about Konstas and whether he should be here or who else could be here. Is this Harris or Bancroft or Hunt or McSweeney or Weatherall or whoever else you want to, Jeff Marsh, David Boone, Bob Simpson, whoever you can think of. But we've kind of not really spoken about, if not Uzi, then who?
Yeah.
And so then Australia could end up in a situation, if they do say that after this series that maybe Uzi, you're not the answer anymore, that they have 2 new openers or 2 openers who either haven't played Test cricket. But
that's an earlier planning failure, I think.
It is.
That's a failure
to
have identified this probability that it was likely for someone at that kind of age to struggle, because that's the age where we've seen great players struggle. It's the age where we've seen Ponting struggle and Dravid struggle and players like this. And Usman Khawaja is not Ponting or Dravid. He's very good. He has been very good. He's not quite in that category. So if they end up at a position after 2 Ashes tests where he's made no runs in the first 4 innings and he's being worked over by somebody, well, he's not going to get through a 5-test series without runs. There will be a change made at that point. So that's the risk of the position Australia have put themselves in.
Which also means that if you are an opener in the Sheffield Shield, whether you're Harris or Bancroft or Hunt or Weatherall, or you're just a young opener trying to come through the ranks, this is the time. Or even if you're Campbell Kellaway, I'm walking up to Chris Rogers, the coach, and saying, hey, maybe I want to open this season because there is a vacancy there.
Put me up. And put me in, coach.
And not only, even if you don't make it to the Perth Test, depending on what Konstas does in Jamaica, you might still get a chance through that series. If not for Konstas, it's for Khawaja. Or maybe 2 positions will open up. You never know. So here it is. Openers. again, if you're David Boone, Jeff Marsh, Bob Simpson, Bill Lawry, come
Now's
back.
your time.
Because now is your time.
All right. So, Australia bowled at West Indies for 253 today. It started with the second guard of honour for Craig Brathwaite coming out, because he'd walked out last night, walked back without facing a ball, walked out this morning, didn't face many balls, walked back after facing 8 of them, chipped a little return catch to Josh Hazlewood. It's hard to know what to make of this career, because he averages 32 across his career. He's made a dozen hundreds. He's batted a lot of long innings, but his returns have really dipped the last 2.5 years. So since he made his last century, just after the Australian tour, he made 100, made one against Zimbabwe. He's averaged 19 since then. He's a player that they keep sticking with because of these same ideas as Khawaja, about security and stability and all those kinds of things, but his returns haven't been there. He's only 32. He's been playing since he was 18, so he's been around forever. But he's someone that West Indies view as because he's specifically a test player, they need him for test matches, but I think he needs runs second innings here. Certainly needs some in Jamaica if he gets picked.
Very much so. But again, the other question for the West Indies is, who do they turn to? And the one reason he has been able to play 100 test matches is because he doesn't play white ball cricket, or he hasn't played white ball cricket.
Never played a T20.
It is quite something.
Which is remarkable.
It is remarkable.
And he used to smack him, apparently. Roston Chase said he was very aggressive as a younger player.
I saw him hit his first 6 in first-class cricket in Hubli in a West Indies A versus India A match, and I wrote 800 words on it for the newspaper.
Yeah,
they cut it down to 150 words because they said, "Are you crazy?" But as they should have. But you know, that was 2013, 2 years into his Test career. So he never played white ball cricket. He's been the one constant for them for all these years, for nearly 15 years. But I do wonder, I mean, and you love things like this, if anybody has had more opening partners in 100 tests than Craig Brathwaite. He's had so many over the years. Going back to when he started with my old friend Adrian Bharat and Kyron Powell and Kirk Edwards, and there's so many. It's
especially over the last few years. He's a shout. He's got the lowest average of any specialist bat to have played 100 tests. I can tell you that. There are the only other ones in the 30s are Atherton and
Dimuth?
Yes, Dimuth Karunaratne, who nearly averaged 40. There are a couple of keeper bats who kept for part of their careers, Alex Stewart and Johnny Bairstow, who were specialist bats for a bunch of their careers, who averaged in the 30s. But yeah, he's by far the least storied player. And you look at the West Indies pantheon of who I was just writing them down before in my piece. You know, it's Richards, it's Lloyd, it's Greenidge, it's Haynes, it's Lara, it's Chanderpaul, it's Walsh. The 100 Test players are a remarkable sequence, and he's Hooper and Gale, I think, are the other two. He's by far the lowest profile, so he's modest, he's humble, he's chipped away, but you know he's going to need to lift his results if he wants to continue to demand a place in this side. So probably we don't need to go through the West Indies batting chapter and verse. You had a really good ball from Cummins to bowl Shea Hope that cut back a long way through the gate and castled him. You had Campbell smack 40 and then played a horrible shot and just dinked one up in the air and got caught. It was off Hazelwood, was it? No, it was off Webster. It was off Webster. And then you had Brandon King play pretty well. Played some nice shots, crisp shots, 50-over kind of shots. Shuffled around a bit and smacked a couple of sixes down the ground. Looked good when he was lifting sixes. He made 75 and then Lyon got him gloving down the leg side. And those were the main scoring contributions until the lower order, when the Josephs made 20-odd each, just punting the odd one out of the ground wherever they could.
Brandon King, if you just look at his strike rate, just going by the scoreboard, you might think, oh, maybe he just got away, hit a couple of sixes here and there. But I thought his first phase, and that's where he showed the grit. Someone playing his second test match, he got some runs in the first inning, got a first bowler, second inning, dropped a lot of catches, yes, but I think the way he survived the Pat Cummins spell, I think there are some, you spoke about Konstas and Green is still in there, but they can learn from it. It was ugly. It never looked like he was in control. He was laughing at times. There was one ball that Pat Cummins bowled which came in like that and left him, and he just laughed at Pat Cummins as if to say, this is too good for me, yaar. This is Test cricket. I didn't know it was so tough, but he fought through that period and then earned the right to play like Brandon King. And then he was hitting Nathan Lyon over his head for 4. And he does 6 over long off, 6 over long on. So
there's this cat and mouse game with Nathan Lyon because his average is almost under 30. But every time he takes a wicket, someone then hits him for a couple of sixes in this series. He keeps getting belted, and then he keeps taking a couple. So it's gone down like 1/100th of a point or something on today's effort.
How many? I don't remember the last time he's gone 2 consecutive innings, not just 2 test matches, where he's been hit for so many sixes.
Yeah.
I mean, Joseph went after him in the last test.
Big time.
Shamar Joseph hit him for 2 sixes today as well. Another big blow over deep mid wicket and a really classy shot over deep extra cover. And all the sixes I mentioned, Brandon King, I think Alzari Joseph tried to hit him and then he was caught out.
Yep.
Lion they've decided clearly, the West Indies, that we're going to go after him. And I thought it was a pretty good innings for someone playing his second test, for someone who's played so much white ball cricket, where he wasn't really getting a lot of support at the other end.
And for someone who had a horrible first test.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I think it was very good to see.
So that's where West Indies are at. They're 45 behind. They've got to try to keep Australia to something chaseable, which, given the way they batted in the first test, is not very many. Pressure will be on tomorrow. We will go to the Hall of Fame, which is going to be well packed. I've got a bunch of things to talk about today. Looking forward to this bit. Maurice Blackburn, a reminder about them. If you are in Australia and you need legal assistance and you're not someone who knows your way around the system, talk to them. They're the ones to talk to. They've got offices across the country. They are about looking after working people first and foremost. So Maurice Blackburn, pop them into the search engine or find them in the show notes. Hall of Fame in a moment. This is the final word. It's the Daily. It's the Hall of Fame, and I want to start with.
Do you have a notebook?
I've got a
with
notebook because I had to write down my halls of fame.
I'm really intrigued now.
Do we do it like Governors General? Do you have halls of fame, or do you have Hall of Fames?
Oh yeah.
How do you do the plural?
Halls of Fame.
Halls of Fame. So I didn't want to talk up Pat Cummins too much at the start, because you don't want to be accused of getting too invested in a player. But I saw his little clip about what was on his playlist, the music he's been listening to.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And it's a bloody good selection. It was like, for someone, for like a middle of the road sort of indie music kind of fan like myself, who's very susceptible to a few major chords and a rousing chorus, like this is a strong list. He's got Springsteen, Billy Joel, The Cure, so you've got your classics kind of covered off there, which some people would think is cheesy, but he's got the War on Drugs, who you and I went up to see in Yorkshire a couple of years ago. Yeah. Magnificent live band, which is, strong. He's got Fontaine's DC, who I saw in Barcelona just recently. Flavour of the moment, like most exciting band in the world right now, perhaps. He's got Cut Copy, always good to get up and going to that. Lana Del Rey, love her work. He's got Kendrick. Might be time, Pat, to drop Kanye, I think, at this point, now that he's a Nazi. Kanye was on the playlist. I think he may not be quite up to date there. But, like, interesting music. He's got Methyl Ethyl. He's got the XX. He's got, like, this is clearly the best music taste of any Australian cricket captain. I'm completely confident. Like, you start with Steve Ward with fucking John Williamson, the most drudgy, like your parents are putting it on a cassette in the car sort of music of all time. And then you've got someone who's actually, to some extent, got their finger on the pulse, and even the cheese is like quality cheese. Yeah. I was impressed.
Oh, very impressed. And just not cricket captains, cricketers in general. I've seen, except the metalheads, the fast bowlers, Damien Fleming, Jason Gillespie, and a few others, have pretty ordinary music. Music
pretty
taste,
ordinary.
All around the world.
Appalling.
Yeah, I remember when in Australia they used to do that thing for the Tri-Series where you could pick your own song, and they were often the worst. I really judge cricketers based on the choice of song. So, Pat Cummins is worldly. He's got that air about him. You can speak to him about most things, but I'm not surprised that his music taste is
maybe, I don't
varied.
know, maybe he just like GPT'd it and said, find me some credible list of music that will make people think I'm cool.
These days,
who knows? Who can tell?
But we do know that he went to the Springsteen concert.
Yes,
remember, before the Edge
That is true.
Test,
that is true. And who doesn't love the boss? Obviously you're going to see a lot of clips today about a dog running onto the cricket field, which will, because it will get more people to watch it than who will watch the cricket. Like, we are such easily impressed people, cricket people. All you need to do is go, there's a cat on the field, there's a dog on the field, and that's it. Everybody's content for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I remember back in the day in India in the 90s, there used to be, I don't know, are they mongooses or mongoose?
Good question.
Good question. But a mongoose on the field a couple of times, especially during that famous...
The mongoose are in our halls of fame.
There you go, they are. In the Hero Cup in 1993, I remember a couple of venues as a little child seeing, and I thought it was just common. I thought you just see mongoose running on the outfield.
That's why you don't get cobras on the outfield.
There you go. That's why they're used. So we've seen a lot of iguanas here running helter-skelter everywhere. But yeah, you spoke about the black dog. It was a cute dog. I think what really stood out for me was, anyone watching that clip would say, I know that my dog also has terrible recall, and one of my dogs does have terrible recall.
Sure.
Alfie. Sorry, I'm looking at you.
You mean he doesn't come back?
Rather
than he has a bad memory.
Correct. Yeah, he doesn't come back. Not a recall.
He does have a bad memory too, because like you walk in and he starts barking, and I'm like, Alfie, I just left. Like I just walked out 30 seconds ago, and he's like, huh, what?
Yeah, he's a protective Maremma, but this dog. It wasn't the case of him not having terrible recall. There was nobody recalling him.
He was just a dog doing his own thing. He was an independent dog of means.
He was very independent, and Josh Hazelwood tried to shoo him away, and he thought Josh Hazelwood was asking him to come near him, so he just started wagging his tail and started walking towards him.
This is what I liked. He came out, had a lie down round about sort of deep mid-off. And normally you'd have, like, if you were in England or something, you'd have 80 different stewards in their high-vis vests running on and trying to stab a beach ball
on the dog.
Totally body slamming. But there's nobody here to do that. So it was just left up to the players. Sam Konstas was wandering over.
Steve Smith tried to chase him away.
And then eventually the solution was that the drone pilot who's flying the camera drone was like, what if I fly it down near the dog? And it worked.
He was so petrified.
He was like, ooh, this is weird. Yeah. But then he wasn't that petrified. He or she didn't get the gender of the dog, didn't interview the dog.
Sorry.
But the dog wandered off and then went through the gate into the PMOA area, the players and match officials area, wandered around in there for a bit, took a piss on a portable light tower, then sat in the shade for a moment, and then a couple of minutes later thought better of it and wandered back down here behind us and out the gate next to the steel drum band and went about its day. More power.
And another thing is, I'm so glad the dog doesn't believe in cliches, because there is a classic fire hydrant red-coloured one right there in front of the PMO area.
Yeah, we spoke about it in the preview.
Yeah, we did.
Missed opportunity, actually.
Yeah, and the dog would have said, nah, this is what they expect me to do. Yeah, I just bowled a slow one by... But...
I don't want to be pigeonholed.
Exactly.
I'm a dog. I should be dog-holed.
True. And speaking of dog holes, I just realized that this is a famous... feels like the Grenada National Stadium outfield is where dogs hang out in the evening, because two other dogs then walked out, I think around 45 minutes ago, and they walked out like opening batters, Jeff. They just walked out and they started playing with each other, and then they were just having a lie down before we interrupted them.
Yeah, but one of them was happy to see us, and the other one was... just half happy to see us. I'm going to throw in, I talked about the incredibly loud speakers yesterday, but the ground announcer / DJ, whatever. Now, I'm sure this person is a lovely person and means well, but some of the things that are going on today indicate probably a lack of understanding of cricket. Particularly, I would say, stadium, make some noise, just after someone's hit a six. They just hit a six. That's... Like, we know that. If you're in the crowd at the cricket, you know that you cheer when someone hits a six. You don't need to be informed about how to respond to six hitting. That is, if you're trying to G people up and rev them up, make them go crazy, you've got to do it when it's quiet. You've got to do it on a dot ball. That's the only way that there's any point to do that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you also got really annoyed when he got really excited about West Indies getting to 250, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a stupid score to care about.
It is.
There was, I think, what was the other line? Can the Australians, they're 9 down at this point, can the Australians take the last wicket today? And I'm like, yeah, I reckon they probably can. Like, I think they're fucking probably across that. We've got 2 hours of play left. If they don't take the last wicket today, it will be one of the more notable 10th wicket partnerships of all time by this point.
Yeah.
So, I think they've got that. And then the other one, which was actually quite endearing in a way, they had a DRS call. It was when they were 9 down, and it's sent upstairs. It was Anderson Phillip, I think.
Nathan Lyon sweeping.
Yeah, and it goes up on the big screen, and the ground announcer goes, while the decision is pending at National Stadium, and then immediately just shuts up, because clearly someone went, no, you can't do that. Like this, like the rules are that's not allowed. You can't be like talking through while the umpire is making the decision. So then that was the one time when Cricket Sense actually intervened, and they weren't blasting music during the innings break, which is an excruciating thing to have happen. Anyway, the lights have gone off. If you're watching the video, you'll have noticed this. That a lot of things have closed down, but I think it's time for us to wrap it up. You got anything else?
No, but I think we've done.
Okay.
We've done well today.
It is. It has been the Final Word Daily. You can support the show. We've got concurrent dailies for the England-India Test and this West Indies-Australia Test. If you want to help us do that, patreon.com/the final word. That was a freaking enormous dragonfly or something.
What was it? I thought it was a bat.
Might have been a bat.
Flew past.
Maybe it was chasing a dragonfly. Yeah. It's dusk. It's dusk here in Grenada. We will be back on day 3. At least there may even be a day 4. Who knows? But yeah, patreon.com/the final word. That's where people are hanging out and chatting. Thanks to Maurice Blackburn for supporting the show. It's been the Final Word Daily. Bharat Sundaresan and Jeff Lemon. We'll see you on day 3.